Good students, I hope you are well and fine, and you are enjoying the weather. Uh, the last night thunderstorm was quite pleasant for some people and not everyone. So today's lecture is about biostatistics using SPSS, and specifically we will introduce SPSS to you. And I hope most of you people are already aware what is SPSS and how to create variable and how to enter data in SPSS. So this lecture is all about these three things: intro to SPSS, variable creation, and data entry. So the lecture objectives for today's lecture are the to understand the purpose of SPSS, to be able to create variables in the SPSS, and to correctly enter data in SPSS. First of all, what is SPSS? SPSS is an abbreviation which is used by the company that made SPSS, and they made a software which was used for analysis, and they named it as Statistical Package for the Social Sciences. Later on, this software package was used by accounting people, business, management, and in other fields of research and academia. So the wide use of this software, because of the wider use of this software, the company tried to change the name of this software, tried to change the meaning of that abbreviation or acronym. So what they did was, instead of stating a statistical package for the social sciences, they said that it is a statistical package for service solution or statistical services. However, that name didn't sustain for a longer period, and at the end, the company revert to their previous name, that is statistical package for the social sciences. Currently, Intelligent Business Machine IBM company owns this SPSS, and practically speaking, there is no full version of SPSS. Full version, the name, the nomenclature, full version of SPSS. They just name it as SPSS. So there is no official full abbreviation expansion of this software. So it doesn't matter what it is, because now the people all over the world, they know that what is the purpose, what is the use of SPSS. So that's why SPSS is so popular, because of its easy use and its user-friendly interface. So it is popular among um, um, expert researchers as well as new researchers, amateurs. So without wasting time, in the SPSS, what do we do? Because SPSS is meant for data analysis, that means we need to have data first. So we are working with the data. When we are working with the data, we need to enter that data into the software. There are multiple ways of entering data into the SPSS. One way is entering data directly into the SPSS after creation of appropriate variables. I'm conducting this lecture with this assumption that you know the definition of data, you know the meaning of variable. If you are not, then you may struggle understanding the concept of data and variable in context of data entry and variable creation in SPSS. So in short, variable is any entity on which you can collect data, is any characteristic under which values can vary. For example, name is a variable, but usually it doesn't have any statistical purpose for the analysis. So we usually don't use name for the analysis purpose, name of a person. but age. Age is a very important variable under which values can vary, and it is the entity in which we collect data. So age is a variable, and under this variable we collect data in the form of numbers, and those numbers represent years, age in years, or age in months, or maybe age in days, or maybe age in hours, right? Because if we are dealing with adult people, the we usually record the age in years, or maybe years and months. But when we are dealing with children and the newborns, those initial few hours of the life, 72 hours, 96 hours, may be very important. So if we are doing a research on early neonatal period, we will record the age in hours or days of life. What about those human beings who are not yet born? They are still in the womb. So for those human beings, the fetus, we record the age in usually in weeks of gestation. So in short, you need to understand that how to deal with the data and how to record the appropriate data in the form of numbers under each variable. The other variable which is popular, which is almost mandatory in any research, except when we are dealing with some censored population. If we are dealing with general population, we must record the gender. We must record whether a person is male or female. That has very important affiliation and association with certain diseases. Certain diseases are common in males and certain diseases are common in females. And by expressing the exact gender of that person, we can attribute the risk factors or the disease accordingly. So gender and age are two basic variables which are recorded in all of the research data, except those researches where the research is being conducted on censored population, such as if you are doing research on obstetric or gynecological population, the women's only, you don't need to record the gender. All of the participants will be female. For example, if you are doing a research on prostate cancer, you won't record the gender of the participant, right? So those are some exceptions, but though you must know what to do and when to do the correct intervention and correct decision making. So age and gender, as I said, are two important variables, but they are two different things, age and gender. Age is a numeric variable. Age, when we ask someone what is your age, what we expect the answer could be, when you ask a patient in the internal medicine department or the obstetric department, you expect the answer would be, for this question would be like my age is 18 years, my age is 21 years, my age is 30 years, my age is 65 years, like that. Nobody tell you their age as I'm middle age, I'm old age, or I'm elderly population, or I'm younger, I belong to younger age, right? So logically, age must be recorded in your data file as numbers and as precisely as you can. If you can record the age as 20.5 years or 22.5 years, that's better than just 22 years, right? Now coming to the gender variable thing. What is gender? So normally when we don't ask someone their sex normally. Sometimes we ask the participants about their gender inclination, but normally when we see a patient, we just write their genders by our own observation, as per our own observation, and we record it as M or F, M for male, F for female. But in the research, most of the time we code these two responses, either male or female, as numbers. Those numbers could be 1 or 2, or could be 0 or 1. And you can attribute 0 to male or female, or maybe 1 to 0, male or female. It's your choice. Most of the time, the lesser the number is, the lesser number group, the lesser coded group is considered as the reference group. So in the analysis, maybe in future lectures, I'll tell you what is the use of reference group or reference code, right? So in the SPSS, now you know what is variable, and now you know what type of two main types of data you are expecting. The one is quantitative data, such as in the age, and the other is qualitative data, such as in the gender, that is categorical data. So similarly, similar to the age data, height, weight, BMI are quantitative data. Blood indices, most of the blood indices are quantitative data. Marital status, social status, ethnicity, or some levels of pain or severity of pain can be classified as categorical data, right? So while entering data into the into the SPSS, you must take into account that what type of data it is. So in the SPSS, you work with the data. That's it. And once you are done with entering the data, you try to analyze that data, analyzing data using SPSS. But before analysis, you need to test assumptions. What does this mean, assumptions? We'll discuss it in the following slides. What are testing assumptions? One of the basic assumption is, for most of the tests, is your data is collected through random sampling. It has sufficient number of patients, and preferably through calculated sample size. Once you are done, once you have successfully satisfied the testing assumption, then you can start the analysis of your data. If your testing assumptions are violated, your analysis would be flawed. So, and based on your testing assumptions, whether your data is random, normally distributed or not, and it is collected through random sampling, and it is representative of the population, on the basis of those assumptions, you select appropriate statistical test. That's the ultimate objective of any researchers who is working on SPSS, selecting the appropriate test, the correct test, right? So in the SPSS, you first need to enter the data into the SPSS. So for data entry, you first create variables. So for your ease, I have opened my SPSS software here so that I can demonstrate it live. What does this mean, right? So in few seconds, I'll share my SPSS screen with you. Mr. Anis, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
क्या आपको SPSS की स्क्रीन नजर आ रही है इस वक्त?
जी जी बिल्कुल.
Okay, thank you. बस ये मैं आपसे कंफर्म करता रहूंगा क्योंकि मैं स्क्रीन स्विच करूंगा कई दफा. Okay, so students, um, uh, on the screen you can see the SPSS interface. Right now, the software I have is version 24, SPSS version 24. In the market, you may find SPSS version 27. But anything 20 or above, if you have, it's all okay. You can run perfect analysis on SPSS 20 or above. Anything older than SPSS 20 version may not run on modern machines. So I prefer SPSS 20 or older. So I have a file and I have named this file as save fake data because we are just creating some data for the learning purpose. It's not actual patients or participants data. So can you appreciate that on the bottom left of my screen, on your screen as well, on the bottom left, you can see the variable and data view. Can you? Right, you can see. And the variable view is highlighted, yellow highlighted. It means that variable view is on. When I click on the data view will be highlighted and you can see the data. But I'll go back to the variable view. In the variable view on top row, you can see name, type, width, decimal places, labeling, values, missing, columns, alignment, measure, and role. What are those things? SPSS follows single row for single case or single participant. That means डाटा व्यू के अंदर जो सिंगल रो होगी वो पूरी एक पार्टिसिपेंट या पेशेंट के डाटा की होगी, राइट? सो बट इन द वेरिएबल व्यू you have the variable name. What variable name you would like to have here? For example, address. Considering that we have foolproof mechanism for patient anonymity and participant anonymity, so we are adding some identifiable information on this file such as name, address, phone numbers, or maybe emails to contact back our patients and follow them up. So because these are some sensitive information and must not be recorded if you are not sure that your file is remains confidential and out of the reach of irrelevant person. All right. So once you have the name of the variable, that is address, then you have to decide what type you will assign to this variable. Address is a variable. What type you will assign? Is this a numeric variable? No, because most of the time address has alphanumeric characters. So if your variable will have alphanumeric characters, it will be a string variable, right? Here you can see a string variable. And you may require 20 characters to fill the whole address of the participant. And in the labeling, I'll write address of the participants. Right? So if I have 10 patients in my data file who belong to same area of Sadr Karachi, they may have different addresses or door numbers. So I have to record their address exactly. However, if I'm interested in the, for example, area of the city, For example, I'm conducting a research which has some relevance to the geographical area the patient belongs. For example, dengue fever. Dengue fever has some specific geographical distribution. Some of the infectious diseases, they may be more prevalent in some geographical areas and not in other geographical areas. Geographical areas means, for example, Karachi used to have 18 towns. Now it has, I think, 6 or 7 districts, but it used to have 18 towns. So you can record the information of the town where the participant belong, so that you know, out of those thousands of patients which are recorded in your data file, from which town the most of the cases are coming. So for the area of the city, we'll keep the variable as numeric, because we have 18 towns in Karachi, so we just need 2 character variable, right? And we don't require any decimal places. So area of the city Karachi, and in the values, now you can appreciate that in the string variables I didn't assign any value to different addresses. However, in the area of the city, I'm assigning certain values. For example, Sadar, sorry, number 1 is Sadar, number 2 is Gulshan Iqbal, number 3 is DHA, number 4 is Gizri, number 5 is Malir, number 6 is Karsas. So now we have all the areas within our own coding, and now these areas can be analyzed meaningfully, right? So what we are doing right now, we are creating variables. However, you may be wondering why I started with creating the address and the area of the participant variables, because I have created the rest of the variables for you in this file already. So logically, the most important first variable would be ID number of the patient. So an ID number most of the time would be all numeric. And then the name and the age and the sex, height, weight, comorbidity, and other variables. You can see there are only 2 variables which are string, and other than those 2 variables, all variables are numeric. Age, height, weight are technically numeric. Sex, we have coded the sex as 0 code for male and 1 for female. For comorbidity and COVID-19 positive status, we have certain codes such as 01 and here 01, right? And the outcome, it's about good outcome, poor outcome. जिसका good outcome है उसको 0 कोड दिया, poor outcome को 1. So seemingly this data is about those patients who got admitted in a named hospital in Karachi, who were affected by COVID-19 or suspected to have COVID-19, and we have checked their COVID-19 status, whether it is positive or negative, and we assess their outcome, whether they had any sequelae during the admission in the hospital, did they die during the admission, or did they have any adverse effect during the admission. The good outcome means the patient is successfully discharged um, as per the natural history of disease or by the treatment of the relevant physician. The comorbid means, do you know what comorbid is? Comorbid is comorbidities. So comorbidities. Now you can understand this label thing is for labeling some weird nomenclature for variables which have some which were written in shorthand, for example, such as height. Height, I wrote it as HT and weight as WT. So height in meters, weight in kilograms. Why it is important to label all the data and all the variables, not data, the variables? Because most of the time you share your file with your other colleagues or your mentor, your supervisors, or maybe you are analyzing data in group in some online meeting. So everyone must know what does this mean, HT and WT, right? So age of the participant. Okay, some typos, and we don't need to write sex, name, age. Okay, that's it. So what we have done, we have created certain variables. Now we have put relevant value labels where it was necessary. We are not expecting any missing data, so we have none missing data. Columns. This column heading means how wide your column should be. So it's your choice. If you know your column would be just the 2 characters or 3 characters, you don't need to make more big wider columns because it claim more space. And these are just some formatting thing, alignment, right alignment, central or whatever, left alignment, it's your choice. Measure. So this name is just nominal variable, right? And age is a scale variable. Sex is a nominal variable. However, for example, if we have this variable severity of pain. Oops, what does it say? It says variable name contains an illegal character. That means you need to be very cautious while creating variable names. You cannot put spaces, you can put underscores, but most of the time it doesn't allow you special characters as well. So what I was writing here, severity of pain. Severity of pain. Under the label, you can write anything with spaces, but in the variable name, you cannot. So severity of pain would be what? Say, 1 would be mild, 2 would be moderate, and 3 would be severe. Or maybe 4 would be very severe, if there is any. Okay. So for this severity of pain you can choose ordinal variable. Why? Because severity of pain, mild, moderate, severe, very severe, is a particular order. Area is just nominal, address is just nominal, outcome is just nominal, we are keeping it as nominal. Weight, you can see weight and height are scale variable, quantitative scale, right? So you are done here for creating variable. Now you can see, Mr. Anis, can you see the data view as well? Can you see
Yes,
the
sir.
data? Can you see the data? आप data देख सकते हैं यहाँ पे?
जी 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 बिल्कुल.
Okay, thanks. All right. So in this data view, you can see all the variables that we created in the variable view. ID number, name, age, sex, height. So you can see whenever we put this cursor on any name of the variable, there is a pop-up yellow color box which tells you the detail of that variable. So for example, for the sex, the name is sex, numeric variable, measure nominal. However, for the height has a name and a label as well. Labeling is important. So you can appreciate here name with label, height in meters. So whatever the height we are recording here, it is in meters. And it makes more sense because if you don't know this 1.4, is it meter or feet? If it is adult data, it should not be in the feet, in the foot, right? It should be in the meter. So an adult height would be, and I think I put a bit conservative numbers for the height. It could go up to 1.7 as well, 1.8 as well, right? Weight in kilograms. And now here you can appreciate, if we don't mention this weight is in kilograms and you send this data file to someone who is working in United Kingdom, they are still using the older system of weighing someone's body weight in pounds. So they could be confused, they may be confused whether they should consider this 70 or 57, these numbers as weight in the units of pounds or kilograms. And you know, the difference between 1 pound and a kilogram could be exactly double. 1 kilogram could be a double of the pound. Say, all right. So we have these 1001 comorbidity. 1 means yes, comorbidity present. 0 means no comorbidity present. COVID-19 positive status means 1 means yes, positive, 0 means no. 1 outcome means yes, the person had poor outcome, 0 means good outcome. Just keep your focus on my highlighted area here, right? In this software SPSS, we can change by just clicking the value labels button under the view menu. And now all the codes which we already have mentioned in the variable view, those codes can be transformed automatically into their value labels. So 1 means yes, comorbidity, yes, present. 0 means no, it was not present, right? So And how you will enter data in SPSS? I would recommend, if you have limited number of patients or participants, you can use SPSS 100 or 150, maybe less than 200. But if you are having bigger data, hundreds of patients, thousands of patients, SPSS data entry may not be efficient and as well as accurate. However, things aside, I first put ID number. For example, I must have my data form in my hand like this. This is my data form, and on the basis of that data form, I'll record all the entries on the computer. So the record number is 6980. This is just record number, not the sample size of our study. The record number could be anything, right? You must record the ID number. Name of the patient is Abdullah. Mind it, it is all fake data, all dummy data, not fake but dummy data for learning purpose. His age, Abdullah's age is 40 years. He's male, 0. You may be wondering why did I put the 0 code for males. 0, most of the time in our culture, 0 is not considered as a good number, although it has more power than any other number. So coding, it has nothing to do with anything, any conspiracy or anything, right? And putting female as code 1 doesn't mean females are any superior or inferior to males. All are equal, right? And height, so 1.7, and weight 87, and comorbidity 0, COVID positive 0, outcome 0, address Sadar, Karachi, area of the city. Okay, so in the write anything like 11 Gul apartment, Sadar, right? But and the area of the city, the Sadar area here. And for the Sadar, we put a code of 1, I think, right? Yes, 1. So I just put 1, and the severity of pain for Abdullah. Abdullah had number 3 pain, severe pain for some reason. This is how you can enter data on SPSS. But mind it, you just have right now we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 variables. That's easy. But my other students, dozens of clinical groups are working, and students are working with plenty of data, 100 variables on 300 patients, or maybe more than that, 1,000 patients, or maybe 1,000 participants. So just imagine the how huge the data would be, because 100 variables, so it goes on and on and on the right side, your SPSS variable window, as well as the data in the file. So you will have thousands of participants data. You cannot manage it manually. You have to enter the data using some efficient any other software. So right now we are using SPSS, but not always, right? Okay. A very dangerous temptation while using SPSS is you start analyzing the data without checking assumption, without checking your variables, without checking your frequencies. So you must have heard about GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. That means if your data is corrupt or data is not correct, you will get wrong answers, wrong interpretation, wrong conclusions, wrong decisions, and more blunders if in case you are making decision on the basis of that data. Just imagine someone who is recording the COVID-19 data in some NCOC office, for example, for some reason, because that person was tired and sleepy, and that person, instead of clicking 9 number once, he clicked 9 numbers thrice or 4 times. And in the morning, when we check the frequency of or the number of cases of COVID-19, we are astonished that the prevalence or incidence of COVID-19 is rocket high. It was just a mistake, and it should not be done. It should not be happened there. But the first responsibility of the data analyst is to check the data integrity, whether the data is correct or not. To safeguard these errors and mistakes, most of the data entry softwares, but not SPSS, most of the data entry softwares have automatic validation. Whenever you put wrong number, the software itself detects you are entering wrong data, and it can prompt you, or maybe it failed to move on unless you correct your mistake, right? So we are going back to our presentation. अनीस आप देख सकते हैं?
जी सर.
ओके, ये प्रेजेंटेशन आ गई आपके सामने, डेटा सेटअप एंड एंट्री. Okay, thank you very much. So we have created variables, we have labeled it correctly, we put value labels and other things. Now the data is entered and variables are okay. Now once we are done with the data entry, we should know how to select and filter data, as well as how to split files. These are just simple analysis in SPSS. If you know how to select data, you can do some very good meaningful analysis. If you can split your files, you can do wonderful analysis, saving your time. So we'll do how to split file. I'll note it down. Split and select cases. And coding. So this is something a bit advanced, not advanced, but next step. So I'm not covering it here in this topic, but it could be a food for thought or a kind of homework for you if you are interested or passionate about SPSS. You can how to code and reverse code using SPSS and waiting cases as well. So we were talking about assumptions, whether the data is violating assumptions or have satisfactory assumptions. So you can see here, we will run the frequencies and make appropriate charts to see whether the data is normally distributed or not. So here in this picture, you can see right skew data here and the left skew data and the kurtosis value. What these are? These are skewness you must know, and the kurtosis will do it in the next lecture. So before the data analysis, you must check the assumptions. So what you can do, you can make simple frequency runs, you can make frequency charts, histograms, and there are certain normality plots under the heading of plots, explore, or analysis. If your assumptions are not met, for example, if your data is not normally distributed, so nothing is wasted. ऐसा नहीं है कि अच्छा your assumptions are not met, so you will dump your data file. You will find relevant solutions, relevant other statistical solutions, and you may talk to someone who has experience in these statistics, or a biostatistician, or you may self learn something over the internet by using authentic sources such as some university documents such as Harvard or Stanford, or maybe Dow University of Health Sciences, or HEC, or any other university, London School. So those who have published their guidelines for statistical analysis. It would be important to know here is there is an internet resource, a website created by two Norwegian friends, and the name of the website is Layered Statistics. Laerd. Laerd. Layered Statistics. And that website is very useful if you want to start learning data analysis. Even if you know the basics of data analysis, if you want to do some advanced analysis, that website is very useful. They have a basic version which is free of cost, and some paid version as well. So this is a list. These are the list of some basic and advanced tests. You can see here the t-test that is very popular. People know about it, t-test, and the variants of t-test, and the ANOVA, analysis of variance, which is very popular among the you will be a clinician, not a biostatistician. But in case uh, if you come across a situation where you have to use certain different advanced type of tests, you can use SPSS. And this slide gives you the information regarding what SPSS do in highly advanced labs. Data. So going back to the Anis, I'm going back to this data window now. SPSS. Is it shared? Anis, please. Anis, last 5-10 minutes से मैं जरा बच्चों को ये बता दूं जल्दी से. तुम लोग चैट लिख सकते हो बच्चों? तुम देख रहे हो? Okay, thanks. बस इतना ही काफी है. Thanks. So this is the once again we are at the Spss interface. So here, if for example, if we want to select only males here, what should we do? One thing, easy thing, or maybe the logical thing would be just sort it ascending or descending, and you can see males are 0, so 0 is on top of females which are 1, right? We had 101 total cases, right? And the total males were how many? 51 males, and the rest are females, 50 females. So we can, but whenever we do analysis on this, the analysis will give you the results for both of the male and female. What if you want to analyze males separately and females separately? What you will do? For example, I'm analyzing it. What I'm doing, see, I'm going to here age and running descriptive statistics. Once again, I need your help. Can you see the output window? Yes or no? Yes, thanks. So these are the this is the output window. You can see the valid cases 101, mean 39.4 years, median 40 years. But this is for the whole 101 group, not for males and females separately. What should we do? What we can do two things. We have two methods. One is we split the file. Under the data menu, split the file on the basis of gender. Click yes. The file is splitted. Now we'll analyze the same thing, age of the participants, and find out mean, median, mode, standard deviation, standard error of mean, whatever. And what we'll come up with? Two separate analysis. One is for male because we have split the file on the basis of gender. So the mean age of males were 38.4. Overall, the mean age was 39.4. So males are 1 year younger as compared to the whole group. And females had age 40.4. So females are on an average 2 years older than males in this sample, right? This is one way. Mind it, if you have done the splitting thing, splitting will keep on unless you turn it off like this and confirm that कि ये हो भी गया है तो दोबारा से run करके देख लेते. Okay, yes, 101 cases वापस आ गए, right? Now, this is one way to do selective analysis, and this splitting file is very powerful utility in this software. The other thing is select cases on the basis of certain condition. If sex equals 1, that means हम सिर्फ females को analyze करना चाह रहे हैं. Continue. Okay. Analyze. Now see, these 50 participants in front of you are only females. They have a mean age of 40.4 years, remember? So this is another method. And what we have done selection thing. And you can see here, what you can see here on the left side of the serial number, ID number. Those males which were not selected are struck off. You can see on the left side struck off. Okay, that's it for the day. I hope you enjoyed the lecture, although the attendance was not that good. Acha, okay, kuch questions hai Mushtaba Zadi ke, sir, what did you tell about above 200 participants? If you have a big number of sample size, 200 or more participants, it is advisable not to use SPSS for data entry. You can use SPSS for data analysis in that case, but use some other efficient software for data entry. and then transform your data to the SPSS and analyze it in the SPSS for a bigger sample size. Could you please tell about the use of width column? The column width is about but how wide your column you want. If you want a for example you want the ID number column as 4 width, तो आईडी नंबर की जो विड्थ है, जो अपने जो इंटरफेस पे नजर आएगी वो पतली हो जाएगी. अगर आप चाहते हैं कि नहीं जी ये पूरा एक्सपेंडेड फॉर्म में नजर आए तो वो आप उसको ज्यादा नंबर दे दें, तो वो कॉलम विड्थ का एनालिसिस पे कोई असर नहीं पड़ेगा. अच्छा, आपका और क्या क्वेश्चन है वो मैं देख लेता हूँ क्विकली यहाँ पर. ओके okay, can we put severity on a scale? Yes, we can put severity on a scale if we have for example visual analog scale type of thing, or if we have this very scale, absolutely no pain, mild pain, moderate pain, severe pain, very severe pain, 5 levels. Okay, and data analysis. No, this lecture is not for data analysis. I'm sorry. This is just for variable creation and data entry thing. Use of any other question before I take leave? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mushtaba, are you from Dow Medical College or Dow International? Where are you from? DMC. Okay, thank you. Are there any students from the DIMC in this lecture? DIMC. Okay, thank you very much. Anis, we can end the lecture here.